Game is Cozy Keep, Farm, Craft, Manage. Review written by Zenith. This game is a gem in the making. It has created a very fun base experience, which will should only improve as gameplay is smoothed out. As the game is so early in development, I'm going to leave a number of suggestions which I feel could greatly improve the game going forward, using solid inspirations from larger scale games like my time at Sandrock/Portia and Animal Crossing, coupled with arcade-paced economic sim inspiration like Supermarket Simulator, and the like the TLDR is. This game was good. It will be very worth a purchase in mid-2025, but it does need some cooking time. Now onto the suggestions. I'll try to stick with the largest ones as space is limited. But everything introduced in this game left me wanting for more, which I will grant given the age of the game, is to be expected, and will have me coming back at a later date. Here are some of the things I'd love to see the devs put in the game to keep me and players like me coming back for more. I will try to structure this from the largest to smallest, though it's all tied. Building. The building in this is currently restricted to the shop, farm, or basement, and quite restricted at that. Having a singular size for your space meant that the shop felt empty until the end game, with the basement never using more than 2 walls. I think that the shop should start off as a small, decrepit shack you have to repair with local resources. Then you should pay your debt to the king to reclaim your land slowly and allow for expansions which you can build. At the top tier, this could turn to an artisan upgrade where you allow players to spend their gold on a second story, but require a certain NPC encounter to do so farming. I felt there needs to be more self-sufficiency in the hands of the player. The ability to build a barn in the upgraded via debt payment, farmland which you can raise animals in. Utilities should also be added as late and endgame upgrades to allow auto watering and maybe, even at the highest tier magical auto planting, via specialized planter boxes with crystals on them for aesthetic. Once you leave these areas to gather and rekill and remilk the same cows every day, it begins to grow a little stale. Open world. The map size is small, and that should be utilized to its advantage. Each NPC area should have an in-depth dungeon built behind it, which slowly unlocks as the player completes hidden objectives. For example, the giant skull will absorb souls and go from completely dull to glowing brightly, then spawning a boss at midnight, once fully charged, forcing the player to find a way to stay up late via bed upgrades. Another is the garbage goblin should slowly build a castle bastion door out of trash, which, once the final trash bag is handed to him, will open into a garbage-themed dungeon with him as the boss. Arthur could turn out to be a phony, using your gold to stack an illustrious dungeon full of gilded decorations and mercenaries. Also, please allow us to plant trees with the place button on dirt. Planting trees felt like one of the more jarring experiences for crafting upgrades. There needs to be more upgrades all across the board. Upgrade table for weapons and gear to use items and add effects. Get more drops from the specific things that a player might need a boost in. Upgrades for your shop, taking it from small to multi-story, and even expanding it outside. Upgrades related to the beauty, security, and dirtiness stats. I would love to elaborate on these if the devs would ever like to hear, but I don't think this one needs to be emphasized as upgrades will come with time. I've got lots of good ideas to toss your way though. Portal mechanics. I think the portal needs to be expanded to be more interactive. I think it's a fun concept which could invite the potential for advertising, different types of groups showing up on varied vehicles such as carriages or flying carpets. There should also be a way to open the portal directly to events in the greater world. So you could open it up to Oktoberfest for 2 days, and the customers would be wearing appropriate attire and would focus on purchasing beer, pretzels, and some new meat dishes. Enemies/combat. The first and most standout thing I'll mention is the aimbot archers. If there isn't something in between you and the archer, they will hit you. When they do, it's not very clear what has hit you, and there needs to be a distinct arrow thwack sound when you're hit. Having the skeletons track until they fire their bow, but not once the string has been released in the animation, will help remedy that a lot and allow players to feel cool dodging arrows if they're aware. A block does need to be added to the game, as shields are already present. Currently, without a dash or a block, it's a very unsatisfying loop of kiting combat. A dash and a block would do wonders to assist that dungeons. As mentioned in one of the top entries in this, I think that the dungeons need to be a huge part of the game, given the small size of the map, and will help it all feel larger without requiring more intensive performance from player machines. The current dungeon should get expanded in almost every direction to make it feel more like a true Dwarven King ruin. Events? I mentioned them a little bit above as well, but there should be events that the player can either create or apply that will adjust how a few days of the shop will play out. Lots of potential for that in this already with the characters. UI/utility. So I will say thank you for the sort function. That is something that Minecraft has lacked for almost 2 decades, which somehow gets ignored. These types of functions are so useful for in-depth crafting games, and I think the following would be super useful for shopkeeps. Quick split key, shift right-click splits half stack, quick deposit button when looking in chests, loot all button in chests, deposit all button for inventory, etc. A large thing I need to mention as well is we need to be able to delete build ghosts when we decide we don't want to build it. I know it will go away when you restart, but it'd be nice to hold X to do it. Customization. Floors need to be able to be changed to different styles. Ability to set down a patio or pave your path road for better vehicle access should be added. Some pillars in the shop should be able to be walled between for additional shelf or shield wall spots. We should be able to dye our bed with flower extract. All decorative pieces should be buildable in any room such as the basement or your bedroom, but should not increase your desirability. I felt that all my rooms felt very empty game pace. I think that more upgrades need to be added to the tree in many respects, and the XP rate boosted for all activities so players have more reason to level up and get skills. I felt with the difficulty level of the game that there needs to be more emphasis on gathering drop rates from ores, animals, and plants than so many damage upgrades. Additional specialized XP rates based on gathering/combat/shopkeeping should be added as well to allow players to specialize with the additional skill points more directly. An increased XP rate can be countered by large late-game upgrades requiring multiple points, allowing players to focus on one path and max it out, or to be a jack of all trades and take the light percent boosts to stats. I know this one is last on the list, but I felt it made the most sense here. Okay, that's mostly everything that I could fit here, but I'd have great expansion on each of these points above if it's ever necessary. I'm glad to be supporting this game so early in its life, and hope the devs continue to do good work. Everything said is 100% constructive. I truly enjoyed my 20 hours and might polish off my last few trash bags for my badge tonight. Edit, I did in fact go get my badge.